Okay. Hello, everyone. We are back. I had to change where stream is being saved. Because apparently I ran out of space. But we are back. And so, yeah. Um, we'll get started here in just a minute. Hello. Welcome into the stream. We'll be getting started here in just a moment. I had to make an adjustment to where the stream is saved. And you cannot do that while you were streaming, so um we'll be getting started here in just a moment. All right. Checking to make sure we're all good to go. Okay. Hello. Hi everybody. So, tonight is a extra special stream. We have a special guest on this evening. Her name is Jessica Morrow, and she is a parent of a disabled child, an activist in the community, and she has put a lot of effort into working on a bill. Um, the I forget what it's called off the top of my head, but I'm sure she can help inform us. Welcome to the show, Jessica.
Hi, thank you, Annie. And
Hi.
the bill's name is Employing Parent Caregivers.
Okay. We do not see you on camera, but that is okay.
Oop, 1 second. Let me see if I can get it to go.
Okay. No problem.
Whoops.
I thought the thing was from 7 to 8.
Still getting a black screen. I'm not sure.
That's so weird.
Oh gosh, sorry.
I'm not sure why it's not pulling it up.
It's
Can you hear me at least? I
Oh
hope.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We can hear you.
I have
Chat.
this trouble a lot when I'm in um Google Meets and then Microsoft Teams. So
Oh. Yeah, okay. Chat, can you hear Jessica okay? Cloud, can you hear her okay? Oh, perfect. Okay. Okay, so they can hear you, so that's what's important. So,
okay.
can you tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe a little bit about your family first?
Yeah, for sure. So I am Jessica Morrow. My husband's name's Daniel. We have two kids. Jaden is our oldest. He is 15. He has multiple special needs. His two main diagnoses are cerebral palsy and autism. He has 17 other subdiagnoses as a result of those two main diagnoses. And then he has a younger sister. She is 14. Her name's Aubrey. So we're
Okay.
all we're a pretty good team. We're all a team.
Yeah, yeah, I bet. Um, so can you tell us a little bit about what kind of care your uh your son requires?
Yeah. So Jaden is he actually qualifies for 75 hours of personal care, and then we receive the maximum amount of respite that he can possibly receive in the state of Washington. We've been looking for 5 years right now for a caregiver.
Wait.
And
5 years?
yeah, five.
Goodness.
And it's not been great. So between the caregiver shortage and people just not being very like informed about special needs communities,
Mm-hmm.
it makes it a lot harder for people to feel comfortable helping take care of him. They're either worried they're going to hurt him or they're like scared that he's going to hurt them, not understanding what's
Right.
going on.
Right.
Um, but so Jaden is nonverbal. He's 15. He is in a wheelchair when we go anywhere. Here at home, he tends to crawl around, or he's getting to where he can walk pretty decent. It's still not very stable, and he falls a lot. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but at home, that's what he wants to do, and we encourage him to do the things that he wants to do and that he's able to do. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like all the time therapy at home with us.
Mm-hmm.
um, but he's doing really good with that. He has a lot of behavior issues because of the autism and the cerebral palsy. Um, he has a lot of fixations and things and sensory issues. So those things tend to cause him to need two people all the time with him,
Mm-hmm.
just to keep him safe. He's gotten so big, like he's at least an inch bigger than I am now, and I'm 5'6". So
Oh wow.
um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it
He's a big
shouldn't.
guy.
Yeah, and he's only getting bigger. So
Mm-hmm.
um, but he wears a diaper. Um, he's not able to like dress himself. He so he's getting to the stage where he's wants to be very independent, and we have recently learned that there's actually a name for what we're doing, and it's called messy feeds, because he will not allow me or his dad to feed him anymore. He wants to do it himself, and so when we make dinner now, we set it on a TV tray, and then we clean up all of um, the mess when he's done. Like we pretty much just put what we eat for dinner on a tray for him.
Mm-hmm.
He hand feeds himself, and then we have to get him cleaned up and the mess cleaned up. and then carry on. And he's not in school currently. We're having to deal with the school district being difficult here in Lake Stevens. They told us so at the last year during right before Christmas break, the school district withdrew his his enrollment. Um, and they said that they couldn't accommodate his needs anymore because he has like a hibernation mode in the winter. His circadian rhythm struggles in the winter, and so he sleeps more during the winter than he's awake, honestly. And there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing like we can do about it. We've had him tested for everything. We've checked everything. We've done all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, it's they just don't want to we've given them a lot of options here, honestly, but they don't want to work with us. So we're
Wow.
trying with an attorney right now because it's so hard. Like with me and my husband both having to be home to take care of him,
Mm-hmm.
it's like we have to find side jobs in order to be able to pay the things that we need because everyone's like, well, Jane gets SSI, and I'm like, do you even know how much that is? like like it's supposed to be 940 something, but he doesn't get that because SSI took away um they're garnishing his payment every month because they didn't do their job during COVID, and then they said they overpaid us, so now they're garnishing his checks, so now we get $840 a month. And I'm like, tell me where
Don't
you can
even get
live
me
in the
started on don't even get me started on social security overpayments. I have one myself, and yeah, like
it's infuriating
it's
because
infuriating,
like I was
yes.
like, if you look, I turned in every single document I'm supposed to turn in every single month. That's not my fault that you guys didn't do your job for 8 months and then you decided, oh yeah, well we got that information but we overpaid you, so now you're gonna give it back. I'm like, that's not cool.
No, it's not. It's really not.
Like that affects so much stuff
And unfortunately,
when
like so many, there's a lot of Social Security beneficiaries that are charged with overpayments. Um,
mhm.
and
Even when
I
you appeal it and stuff, they
yeah,
just do what they want anyway. It's horrible.
exactly. Exactly. I no, I totally get it. I am fighting my own social security overpayment that is almost 20 years old. Um, and in part because for 3 months I made too much income from a job, and then they sent me like extra money because they said that they had been underpaying me, so they sent me more money. And then of course I
Hmm.
used that money, and then later they're like, oops, our bad. So like same situation pretty much, it seems like.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's a nightmare to like try to deal with it. No lawyers want to help with it. It's
No, they don't want to get involved into any of that
no,
because they
no.
know it's going to be expensive and they know it's not going to, like, it's just not worth your time, really.
Right. I'm actually talking to my people from my state representative's office to try and get help in dealing with mine. And I'm actually trying to uh, set up a meeting to meet with some of her legislators um, in DC to discuss Social Security overpayments. So perhaps I will invite you to that meeting. But
I would love to. I've got 16 years of horrific stories. Some of them I'm just so dumbfounded. I'm like, where is Ashton Kutcher right now? Like, I know I'm being punked, and this is not funny, but if he comes out, I might accept this nonsense.
so so tell me a little bit more about what happened with the school. That they just kind of like give up? Like what happened?
Yeah, they like literally unenrolled him from the district and said that he was no longer a student in the district. Um, And so that means we lost all of his physical therapy and his occupational therapy and his speech therapy. And then
Wow.
just like the days that he can go to school, um, he no longer gets to do that. So it's it's really rough because now he's just home with all of us. And I mean, while he's making a lot of uh, I guess progress because his schedule is the same every day without all the breaks and the craziness in school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he still has a lot of things that he's missing out on, like his separation anxiety, for example, is not good. It's like it's so rough sometimes. If me or his dad or his sister leave the house, then he thinks that something's going on and he's not happy about it. So,
Mm-hmm.
like if he was going to school and things, even if it's every once in a while, um, those would be days for him to just be able to like reset in a way,
Mm-hmm.
which would be great. And he needs that interaction with his friends. His best friend that he's had since second grade um, is in school still right now, and they just went to homecoming last night together. Um, and it was kind of interesting to see because he was pretty mad about it in the car because he doesn't really get to get into the car anymore. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Lost our car for one, so that doesn't help either. But um,
Oh no.
yeah, yeah, it's a whole disaster. It's part of me losing my job constantly, trying to balance working and being here with him when he needs me. So
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's just it's just frustrating, honestly. The school's not helpful, and the superintendent is like she's the absolute worst. Or I guess she's not the superintendent. She's like the main person of the special education in our district. Um, she's
Mm.
just not very helpful. She's not understanding to anything that I've explained to her about Jaden, and when I tried to explain to her that we need like a hybrid in quotations um, kind of situation for Jaden during the winter months, um, she she literally told me that she would talk to the team at school and see if they could accommodate my preferences. And I'm like, what? Those what? Did you just say? What?
Wow.
My preference, I'm like, let me tell you about this girl. My preference is that my kid gets up at 6 a.m. He gets on the bus at 7 a.m. He goes to school all day long. He comes home at 3:30 p.m. on the bus. He gets off the bus and then he has his snack and he hangs out and he eats his dinner and he gets ready for bed and then he goes to bed and then he does it again.
Mm-hmm.
That is my
Of
preference.
course.
My preference is not him being at home all winter long because his body's in a weird position during the winter months, like, and he's got his vitamin D, he's got all the things we need to give him during the winter months. It's just he literally hibernates. So
Mm-hmm.
like you can't really poke a hibernating bear, it doesn't work.
No.
Then we got to try to get him out of his bed. He has a safety bed, so it's like a big, massive crib that the walls close up at night, so he's safe in there.
Mm-hmm.
He also knows how to unlock the doors and get out.
Oh.
Um, it's terrifying. He's definitely an escape artist. Uh, so yeah, uh, we have to get him out of there, and then we have to get his diaper changed and his clothes changed. And if he peed through his diaper that night, which is frequently because the diaper situation is a whole nother hot mess of a topic. The way they give us diapers is just terrible. They don't hold anything. Um, but then we have to give him a bath and stuff, and I'm like, then you have to get him down the stairs, and then you have to get him into his wheelchair, and then you have to get him out the door into the bus. And I'm like, if somebody wants to come and help me, like, get this to happen, me and his dad can't do it anymore because if he doesn't want to do it, he's too big to make him do anything he doesn't want to do anymore.
Right.
I'm like, and if you're claiming to be inclusive, then this is what we need. Like, this is what he needs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have to adapt to that. And she's just like, well, these are your preferences. And I'm like, oh, my Lanta. Uh,
um, so is he not getting like his speech therapy or any of the other therapies he was receiving in school?
Not currently. And we even asked the school district because I know that they're required by law to offer other alternatives when they can no longer accommodate the needs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they just keep trying to offer, I don't know what the correct word is here, but half ASS.
You can swear. It's okay.
It's just like, what? Oh, so I don't know. She just like half asses giving options that she knows won't work. Like she knows he's nonverbal, and yet they sent um like a an online school um, to call us, and they didn't even inform the online school district that he was nonverbal and that he has the special needs he has. Because
Oh
as
my
soon like
goodness.
I was frustrated thinking that they were aware of that and they were still trying to talk to me. And so I'm like, why are you wasting my time right now? And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, he's nonverbal. How is he going to do this? And they're like, oh, that won't work at all. We're not set up for children like that. And I'm like, yeah, I know, which is why I'm giving you attitude right now because I'm so frustrated.
I mean,
But
it's understandable. How could they possibly think that like sending someone like your son to an online school would be an adequate like substitute or replacement for what they are supposed to provide, right?
yeah, exactly, exactly. And I've told them that they're at least supposed to have some kind of in-home services. So, like, they should be sending some kind of therapist, his PT and his OT and his speech. They should be sending at least those services to our house right now because he needs in-home services during the winter months.
Mm-hmm.
And they won't. They won't. She's like, well, we don't have that, and I'm like, that's not like you need to get it and figure it out because that's like required by law. And I know I can't be like we can't be the only family that
No.
this issue going on. And then I've talked to some other parents and they're like, we just gave up and moved to Snohomish, or we take our kid to just Snohomish every day now because Lake Stevens district just wasn't helpful. I'm like, I have no way to get my kid to Snohomish to go to school. Like zero way possible. We don't have a car. The bus isn't going to take him for the time that he would actually be able to go to school. Like it wouldn't, it's just not possible.
Right. Um yeah, I grew up in Snohomish, and uh I was there in school both prior to and after the ADA becoming law, and it took a lot of work to get to where they are now, as far as their special education program and what and stuff. Like I'm not sure exactly like how good it is now, but I mean my own parents, my own mom had to fight tooth and nail to get everything that like I needed in school. And it's disappointing to hear that in 2023, 2024, that you are having to put up such a fight to just get basic what should be basic care for your son, and something and programs like his speech PT and OT that they are required to provide. Like I don't understand why, like they can't just send a therapist to your home instead of doing it in the school. Like
Mm-hmm.
It makes
Yeah,
no
he's given
sense.
so many options, like I said. So we're just like, I've gotten to the point now where I've consulted with some attorneys' offices and some other advocates that are helpful in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I'm actually sending a letter on Monday and CCing a lady into it saying, hey, I've reached out to so and so from NASIT, and this is what we're going to do. I need you to come up with a solution ASAP. Otherwise, we're going to go forward and move in with a lawsuit because we're not being unreasonable, and my kid deserves the services and the experience of school that everyone else gets, and he's not getting that right now. So,
Of course he deserves that. Like, this shouldn't even be a question.
yeah,
Um,
they just don't want to spend the time and the effort and energy into it, and they most certainly don't want to spend the money. They just hope that it'll like we'll move to a different district like everyone else seems to have so far. And I've even heard little ones as young as like preschool age leaving our district here to go to Snohomish now. And I'm like, this is just mind boggling to me that we're in one of the like in quotations richest school districts in the state and they can't accommodate some of the simplest things that they should be accommodating.
yeah. No, that's absolutely just no. No, 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 no. So so you mentioned before that because your son requires such um complicated and involved care that it's really difficult to um that you guys have been trying to get a caregiver or more caregivers to help out for years, and because you haven't been able to find a caregiver, you and your husband have been put into this position where you are more or less the sole providers for your child, and so therefore, because he requires such complex care, you two can't work. You can't hold down a normal job, and you are basically doing odd jobs to survive, right?
Yeah, we're doing odd jobs plus his caregiving. I mean, we're technically unemployed, like we're uncompensated caregivers,
Mm-hmm.
really, because we're doing all of his hours, we're doing all of that work that is in his care plan um, for free because the DDA offices don't want to pay us. They think it's too much of a hassle and it's just a hot mess with them. So, um,
Which is ironic considering chat, if you don't know this, Washington State compensates parents of adult children with disabilities for their care, but they do not compensate parents of minor children. Can you maybe talk about that a little bit?
yeah, so and that's one of the things that's super frustrating because like I said, we're there is a total of 1.4 million hours of uncompensated caregiving support coming from parents of minor children. So, and that's just
Wow,
in the state of Washington.
that's so
Uh,
much.
yeah, 1.4 million of our hours that we have entitled to us through our DDA assessments do not get used every year. And that totals $25.5 million a year in funds that go unused. Um, and so we are trying very hard to get the legislative everyone to come together and help us kind of get over this hump of the DDA trying to stop us from doing it.
So wait, hold on, hold on. The DEA, the the same organization that has assessed that your son is entitled to receive these hours, uh and I mean this is how it works in any family with a disabled child, correct? They assess how many hours your child is entitled to,
Hmm.
and they are actively fighting against um compensating parents of minor children. Why would they do that?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, we've asked them so many times, and they always run around like the bush, and they're like, hey, well, it's just going to be too expensive. We can't afford to do this, and the government's going to shut it down because they're not going to want to fork over the money, and
But
it's just,
the hours aren't being used anyways.
yeah. So this is the other thing that the DDA is really infuriating me about. They are telling everybody that the $25.5 million, which is what it looks like on paper on the bill, the fiscal note says $25.5 million because that's the uncompensated amount of money each year that is going unused. And if the 4,700 families in the state of Washington were able to access that money that we're already supposed to be, or the hours even that we're supposed to be getting,
Mm-hmm.
that money would have to be spent. We told the DDA, and we've been trying to tell all of the legislative members we're having meetings with, like, if we showed up tomorrow at the state offices with 4,700 different people willing to care for our children, the state of Washington and the DDA office would have no choice but to hire every single one of those people and spend that money. They would have to come up with it if they already spent that money that's allocated every year to our children. But since that money goes unused, they allocate that money into a general fund and then pretend like, well, you guys didn't use that money, so next year we're going to assess your stuff and you're going to get less money.
What?
Like,
That doesn't
yeah,
make any sense because
like our
they're not
money
they're the
to
ones not letting you use those hours and that money in the first place.
Yeah, and what's even more infuriating is, like, my husband and I have been together for like 10 years now. He is technically my children's stepfather. And our DDA office here told us that if we really need to use his hours and do things, that our option is to get divorced, and then Danny can claim Jaden's hours as if we were roommates and no longer in a relationship. But if we're in a relationship and married, then it's his job to care for Jaden.
That's
They wanted us to get divorced in order for Danny to be able to even try to claim Jaden's hours. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like,
so
why
much
would
for
you want me to
supporting
break my
families, huh?
family? Yeah, why would you want me to break up my family? Which puts in a whole nother hot mess because my court order from my ex husband's a disaster. And it says some crazy stuff about how I'm not allowed to live with another man unless I'm married. So, like, I'm like, that would cause all kinds of other problems.
Not to
Like,
mention the emotional toll that would put on your entire family and
yeah,
probably
it's
even your son.
like, yeah, because he feels what we feel, and he is really like reflective of how we are. Like, if we're having a rough day, he picks up on that, and he will also have a rough day. So it's like you have to be aware of these things, and it's just like when people that are supposed to be helping us are literally stomping all over us and then sweeping us under the rug and making excuses about money this, money that, and then going, okay, well, we did our thing, so next, like,
and
next thing.
and and like completely intruding into your personal life too. Like
Yeah, I
it,
mean, these assessments that they give us yearly are not very, they're not very nice, honestly. They are very invasive. They're not, you have no privacy when it comes to the DDA. Like, it's it's rough. And then the other thing they're doing, so the DDA is pretty much trying to kill our bill fiscally. Right now, they want to add in a whole bunch of full-time employees onto our bill. They say they're going to have to add in at least 110 full-time employees. um,
Oh,
if they were to employ parents.
for
Um,
what? Full time employees for what though?
so that way they can come and survey the families 4 times a year. Because they said that if we are to start being employed and paid for the caregiving hours that our children receive that are not being used, because we can't, if we were to be able to access that, then we are more likely to abuse and neglect our children. So we would pretty much be collecting the money and ignoring our children, is what they're saying. And so they're saying that they need to come to our house 4 times a year instead of once a year, like they do with our assessments. Um, and that's one of the reasons they need more employees. They said their case managing loads are way too big already. And if we add parents, then that's just going to make it worse. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense because the parents being employed, like we've already gone through all the assessment and everything as it is. And we have to go through so much of the training. SEIU is, is going to be part of it. They're going to put the parents in the union just like all the other caregivers. Like we are going to have restrictions and rules just like everybody else, just like every other caregiver. So it doesn't make sense that they want to push so hard to keep it that way. And then they're saying that the money that we currently are not using, even though it's been allocated, it's not being used, so it's being put into a general fund, which means that that money is no longer our money. So
So it's
I don't.
literally like taking away money and services from your son.
Yes, so they can put it in a general fund and then put it where they want. And recently we learned that during COVID, at the beginning of the COVID pandemic, the federal government gave all the states a good amount of money to set up this exact kind of program where they're paying parents of minor children to be the caregivers because nobody was allowed to come into our house and help. They weren't allowed to help. Like you couldn't come in and do your job because no one was allowed to go into anyone's house.
Mm-hmm.
So the federal government gave every state money to set this program up during COVID, kind of like a test pilot program during COVID. Um, so far, 27 of those states, um, there was 39 that set it up. Washington, of course, was one of them that didn't even try. The DDA offices got that money and put it in a general fund because they didn't want to waste the time and put the effort into trying to set it up. Like, it's just crazy. I'm like, the federal government literally gave you money to set this exact same program up, and now you took that money, put it in a general fund, didn't tell anyone about it. We found this as we were as the PEPWA group is digging around into this entire disaster of what is DDA,
Wow.
and trying to get this bill built through. So it's just I the more we dig into the DDA, the more irritating it is, and the more I'm like this. The DDA was set up to help our families and to support our families and to
Mm-hmm.
guide us through the barriers that are already here. And instead of doing that, they're putting the barriers in place intentionally and then saying, oh, well, we're helping them while they're stomping on us in the back. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, I call them Facebook parents. Like, they're like, oh, I'm such a great parent. Look at me. I'm helpful. I'm doing all this for my people. And then, like, as soon as they're off their Facebook page, they're like, get away from me, you little demon child, and ignoring their kids and not doing things they should be. I'm like, this is how the DDA is. They're exact.
Influencer parents.
Yes, exactly. That is exactly what they are. And then, as soon as no one's looking, they're just doing what they can to make everything miserable.
Like, isn't there a uh another organization within Washington that is pushing against this bill as well?
Yeah, it's pretty frustrating because the arc of Washington um is not helpful. They're just as brutal as the DDA, honestly. Um, they were initially supportive of our bill, um, and then all of a sudden they withdrew from our bill and said that our bill is going to cost too much money and it's pointless and it's not anything that we should be focusing on right now because there's other things we should be focusing on. And come to find out, it's because they're pushing the arc of Washington is pushing for funding to be funneled over to properties and other things that they have financial interest in, like the cocoon house and things like that. And I'm not saying that the cocoon house is a bad thing, but the
Mm-hmm.
way that the ARC is handling this situation is really snaky and dirty, and it's not helpful to the community that they're supposed to be supporting.
Well,
And
isn't
notice that,
isn't the
like,
ARC supposed to help people with disabilities? What does that have to do with the cocoon house?
yeah, because the ARC of Washington has financial interest in the cocoon house. Like,
Okay.
they have financial interest in different kinds of properties like that. Um, and because they have financial interest in that, between employment and buildings and things like that, um, they want the money to be like giving their people higher raises, and they want more funding into their buildings and their places, which, as I know, all of these programs really do need more attention and funding. However, when they misappropriate things and pretend like they're doing something and then behind the scenes do the total opposite, we like that's an issue. And those are things that need to be checked so that way our families are being represented and taken care of how we should be.
And I mean, it just, obviously, the general public isn't going to know they're doing this kind of thing either. So, they're more or less presenting themselves as one thing, while they are more or less trying to funnel money towards programs that they have a financial incentive to funnel money into, it seems.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, why pretend to represent us when you're not? Like, and I guess it's because they get more funding that way, but it's not right.
No, it's not. It's not. And wow. That's, really infuriating to hear, as a organization that, is supposed to be out there representing people with developmental disabilities, like that. As someone who is disabled myself, that absolutely infuriates me
Yeah, and
to
I mean,
no end.
we realize too, as I'm talking to different Senate leaders and representatives, that the DDA office, they created that office to represent us and to take care of us. So when they're getting their information from the DDA office. So they're not actually aware of how we're being treated and the things that we're not getting and the services we're not getting. And and we've told even quite a few of them lately. It's like if we got all 4,700 families together and we find an attorney to take care of us, do you understand that the class action lawsuit coming because our children's entitled hours for caregiving are not being met? Like, that's going to be a massive lawsuit. That's going to be way worse on you guys than if you were just to take care of us like you're supposed to in the first place.
Right. I mean,
Like,
yeah.
we're not asking for free money. We're not asking to just get away with everything. We are going to be just like any other caregiver, but actually compensated for what we're doing. We're doing all the work now. we're just doing it uncompensated, trying to survive. And it's hard because, like I said, $840 a month does not get you anywhere. And if
No.
you apply for TANF services or anything like that, that also will go and affect Jaden's SSI. So that's going to knock his SSI payment down even more if we go to get TANF services. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like a big giant disaster. And we're trying to ease that. And I mean, honestly, hiring 4,700 families that cannot currently access their hours and things, that's going to add 4,700 families and $25.5 million back into our state's economy. And
Exactly.
and that's not going out there right now. That's money that we should be putting back into our own economies that's not being put anywhere.
Yeah,
Besides
that's money that's not being used or
that,
utilized in the way that it's supposed to be.
exactly. And so in our bill that we're working on also, not only is there incentive for that reason to help with the caregiver crisis, that's 4,700 employees you've just added, um, but it's also going to help like like emotionally, like mentally,
Of
a
course.
lot of people, because then we're not going to be like, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay my rent this month, or how am I going to keep the electric bill on this week, or oh man, I don't have a phone for 3 weeks, and now I've missed so many appointments and calls, and they all think I ditched them, so now I owe so much money because of missed cancellations. Like, it's not good.
No, and all of this is putting unnecessary stress on you as parents, is putting unnecessary stress on your family, and it you know ultimately it ultimately will fall back onto your son, because he's gonna ultimately be the one suffering. um
And it's
and
not
I
like, and that makes me mad too, because I'm like a mama bear when it comes to either one of these two, because they were both born micro preemies, so we've had a pretty rough haul at it. So now
Mhm.
anytime I think about it, and like his Jaden's psychiatrist, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about how it's really hard to maintain a house and a like a safe living space when we have no way to make income, but we have to take care of Jaden.
Mhm.
Like, my number one priority is and always will be my kids. And I mean, the economy doesn't care about that,
No.
unfortunately. Society doesn't necessarily care about that. Um, but we have special circumstances. We don't have I don't want to say luxury, but I mean, it kind of feels like it at this point, of my children both going to school like they should every day. And my husband and I don't both get to go to work. I'm like, working for me is like a break, honestly. I like having a job. I like going and doing things because it's a break from being here under all this stress constantly.
Of course.
It's a lot of things to do and a lot mentally to handle. Just like, even when Jaden's in a good mood some days, he's constantly like touching and clapping in your face or grunting at you or making noises at you. And I mean, it's like if you have siblings and you're trying to intentionally annoy your sibling and you're like, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you. Like, you're eventually going to get really frustrated and annoyed of it. And even when you try not to, it happens. And then it's like, man, I just need a breather.
Yeah,
And
of course.
that's what going to work feels like for me.
And
It's a
I
breather.
mean, it
But it's impossible to keep a job because they're not understanding when I'm missing work for a week at a time or something, because he's having so many meltdowns and he's self-injurious. Like, they don't get that, and then I lose my job. Like, I've had 14 jobs in the last 15 years, And most of those jobs, honestly, have been in the last 8 years.
That's so much.
Yeah, and it's really frustrating. It's a combination of the school district not being accommodating when they should be, and then I mean employers, they're really not accommodating either. They claim to be, like, you're supposed to have paid time off and sick leave, but
Mm-hmm.
then when you go to use those things and stuff, they're like, well, you're not at work, and so we're going to fire you. And it's like, wow. Like, I was very clear about this situation before I was hired. Like, because I'm very upfront about it. I'm like, my life is complicated. This is my life. I have to do this. Like, I can go a good 7 months without having any troubles. I said, but then I could also have 3 months where you're only going to see me for like 2.5 weeks of that 3 months. I said, it's not predictable, but I'm always honest when I go to apply to a job because I feel like it's my duty as an employee to let them aware of that. So that way, if they choose to hire me, they are aware of what comes with
Right.
it. Like,
And
if
it's
they choose
like
not to hire me, I get that too. But don't
right.
hire me and then fire me for something that I've been completely upfront and honest about. Like,
Yeah, and it also it's like, you deserve, I mean, being a parent is hard in any situation, but I I understand that it requires all that much more to take care of some of a child with a disability, and like having that time away from the home
mm,
is important for you as a parent too, to get that break that you need so you can recharge your batteries. And
exactly. I'm like, your kids go to school, and even when they're not at school, like most kids go play in their room or go play their video games or go play outside with their friends. Like, Jaden is me centric.
mhm,
So, and I mean, I love the bejesus out of him, but I sometimes just I need to breathe, and I feel like I can't. And I tell that, like, all the people we talk to, I'm like, at the very least, financial relief would be so much of a good deep breath that the rest of it would be easy to deal with.
well, yeah, because then you wouldn't have to worry as much about are the things that you and every other family needs to function, to survive.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and you know um and it's it's frustrating that places that are supposed to be allies are are actively fighting this. um have you received much support from candidates or legislators yet?
So we've gotten some support. Um, uh, I've tried a couple of times with a few people that are in my district, and then not necessarily my district, but in the same county as I am. And Keith Wagner and Julio Cortez have neither one responded to me. Um,
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah, they just ghost me every single time, and I'm a pain in the butt. I'm gonna be upfront. Like, I am very persistent. I like send messages. Patty Murray's office, she's the U.S. Senate
Mm-hmm.
for our state. Um, I sent her office an email every single day for like 2 months, and that includes the weekend and even over the holidays. Like on the 4th of July, I was like, "Hey, how's it going? You guys are having a fun and safe holiday. I'm still here. Like,
Mm-hmm.
can't wait to talk." And that's just like, I'm like, "Hey, you're gonna chat with me. Like, this is your job right now, so we're gonna have a discussion." And she finally came back, but I definitely, those two have just dodged me left and left and right. So I'm like, all right.
Interesting, considering that he was at the Arts Forum last month.
And that's one of the reasons that I contacted him, because like I took notes as everybody was speaking, and as after he was done talking, I just like, that emoji face with all the question marks on it.
Mm-hmm.
I drew one of those next to his name because I just was so confused as to what just happened. He's like, he didn't say anything really. He just said random stuff and went roundabout circle and then sat down. And I was like, well, that's weird, which was one of the reasons I reached out to him because I was like, I really didn't understand what you were saying. And I just want to, get a little clarification on what it is what are you supporting, especially when it comes to the special needs community? Like, how involved are you and how are you going to help support us? But
Well, he
nothing.
does have ties to Cocoon House, so
Oh, well, see, he's probably on board with the Arc of Washington then. So that makes sense because that's, the same kind of situation. And
yeah,
it's
he
like,
used to work at
everybody
Cocoon
should get
House.
some funding. Everybody should get some funding. Um, you guys have your funding. At least get us started and let us get our stuff going. And then, like, we'll help advocate for you guys too.
Mm-hmm.
And we've even done that with the DDA offices with their request for full time employees because they have been requesting full time employee increases for like a few years now, well before COVID. Um, and they've just found this as a little way to tack on their demands in order to get it passed. But it's
Yeah,
just
yeah. Julio worked at Cocoon House for many, many years, so that could be why. Um,
Yeah, and the sad thing is, I no joke, and honestly, like I initially in the um, primary or general election, primary election,
mm-hmm.
uh, I voted for Keith Wagner in my district. Um, but after all of this interaction and things, I did not vote for Keith Wagner. I voted for Jon Snow. Like I've had a chat with Jon Snow. He actually came to my house to meet Jaden and talk about this bill, um, so he could fully understand what it is that we have to go through daily and what we're asking for. Um, and he was so receptive and kind and understanding. He asked questions when he didn't understand something, and he asked them in a polite way. It was not like rude or intrusive, and I was just like, holy moly! Like I totally did not vote for you last time, guy, and I am sorry. Like I totally apologized to him and to his face because I was like, I had no idea, like who I was voting for, obviously, because Keith Wagner is just like, who's going to give me money, and that's who I'm going to work for. And Jon Snow is not like that. He wants to help us, the people, as we are, and not who's going to give him the most money.
Yeah, Jon Snow is a great candidate, and if you happen to live in his district, if you haven't already, definitely vote for Jon Snow.
Yes,
Um,
seriously.
and I mean there are some of us out there that actually care about these issues, and um, you know,
Been wonderful as well, helping, even offering suggestions. Like I had no idea about the DDA or the Ally Pact, and then I totally found out that you and I know the same person.
mm-hmm.
That was kind of fun.
Yes, yeah. I've talked to them a little bit, and this is, you know, this was like probably one of the only endorsements I was able to get, but it's to me, it doesn't matter because like this is something that is incredibly important to me. Um, and something that I deeply care about because, I am disabled myself. I understand the needs of this community, and unfortunately, we often get ignored by are elected officials, and so
That to
it's
stop,
yeah.
make
um
better voting choices, people.
yeah, and it's that's why I one of the reasons why I chose to run ultimately, because I wanted somebody in Olympia who, you know um I wanted to be in Olympia so that I could, like, tell people, hey, this is what our community needs, and this is what I'm gonna fight for. And I feel that you guys totally, these families totally deserve everything that they're asking for, and then some. I support a statewide UBI, but you guys, these families need our help right now. Um, and because of the situation you're in, because you can't work in a regular work situation, because of all the factors that you've already explained, um, which make perfect sense to me. What?
Yeah, right. Like it's not irrational or unreasonable. Like,
No, no. Um, can you tell me a little bit about? So there's definitely a caregiver shortage in the state for sure.
oh
Um,
yes, without question.
and because I've heard this from you, I've heard this from other people as well. Um, can you, like, touch base just a little bit about, like, would they require you guys, the parents, to become like HCAs or CNAs?
No. So it's going to be similar to the law that was recently passed that is requiring families of caregivers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, like for example, for a while, Jaden's cousin was helping with his caregiving hours, and instead of taking the full, I think it's like 70 some hours, 60 some. There's quite a few hours you're supposed to take for training. Instead of taking that full amount of training hours, they reduce the hours by quite a bit. So it's like 9 hours of a certain amount of training, and then we have to take all the basics like the first aid and the CPR,
Mm,
bloodborne pathogens, and things like that. We don't have to be a CNA or anything like that.
that's
Um,
good.
we do have to have background checks, and we would be treated just like any other employee that CDWA employs as a caregiver,
Mm-hmm.
because CDWA is who would be employing us. And that's something we want to be super clear on, that our group, PEPWA, is not, for our bill, we can't, by law in the state of Washington, use an agency. The state's laws are written so that we're not allowed to use agencies, which is why CDWA and SEIU are going to be the two, I guess, bosses of the parent caregivers, just like every other caregiver. Um, because, I mean, we really aren't any different than any caregiver. We're just caregivers for our own children that no one else will care for.
Right, right. And just so that we're clear, like, you've I just want to reiterate this, like, you are in this position because you can't find any other caregivers to come in and take care of your child.
Yeah. And his school won't even take it. So, I mean, that's, I mean, it really leaves just me and his dad. And uh, that's why we're here. And his
Yeah.
psychiatrist was even like, I mean, you guys have two choices. You guys do what you're doing, or you institutionalize him. And I'm like, what? And in this state, the state of Washington has defunded and shut down pretty much all of their pediatric programs for children like my son. So he actually would be institutionalized in Kansas or New York, which is
Oh.
kind of weird because we came from Kansas back in 2016. And I, I'm just like, why? We came here to get better care and better help for him because Kansas is not, it's not very healthcare friendly. Like, it's
Mm.
just not. And so the fact that they want to send him back there, I'm just like, we could move back home just to move back home.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not what to do. Like,
And
that's
and
and to make him go to a different state for care when he should be able to have it here. Like, can you imagine how much more expensive that is?
yeah.
And how many kids we're keeping out of institutions by allowing the parents to be caregivers, which is way
Yes.
better on our state's financial system than it would be if we were to put all 4,700 families into an institution.
And and
Like, and trying to explain that to the legislative members is like, this is the reality of it. You say you don't have this money, but this is what's going to cost you if you don't come up with this small amount. Like, because we're all done with it. We don't want to be homeless. We don't want to be jobless. We
of
don't want
course.
PS coming in here checking on us to see if our kids have the things they need because neither one of us have a job. Like, we don't want the school districts calling truancy on us after they've unenrolled us
Of
because they can't
course.
accommodate my kid. It's just like we're just done with it. And I think that everybody that can speak up definitely should speak up about this situation and any other like special needs families and things because it's not going to change unless we make it known and make it change.
Absolutely. And that is why you are here right now tonight. Um what can we what kind of support, like what can we, or if someone is interested in getting involved or helping out, what kind of support can we provide as the general public?
Yeah, so general public can definitely help. We have a petition going around right now online for the caregiving bill to show our members of the legislature that we do have the public support as well as
Mm-hmm.
our family support behind this movement.
Do you happen
And
to know the website for that?
yeah, so if you go to our main website, it's pepwa.org. So it's PEPWA.org.
Uh-huh.
If you go to that website, that is our main website. So you should be able to find our toolkits that we've created. Um, if you're an organization, there's a link that you can click on to sign on to show your support. We
Okay.
have we have a link on there for people who want to contact their legislators that might not know like what legislative district they live in. Um, we have a link that'll take you directly to
Mm-hmm.
where you will be able to find that out.
Yeah,
We've
we're looking at the page right now on the
Yeah, so
screen.
then we have the letter template and the talking points also. Um, Emailing your information to us is also very helpful. That way we can keep you guys informed with where we're at
Mm-hmm.
on on the progress of the bill. And like at some point, once we get past election, um, closer to like December-ish, um, we're gonna have some times where we really need the public's help sending like mass emails to a certain legislative member or um, sending a certain message to a certain person, like that we might need to help us get the bill to the next step.
Mm-hmm.
Um, really need more people to help us get this word out so that way everyone's aware that this is a serious issue and we're not just making this up.
Of course not. Of
Right.
course
And so
not.
there's also, I'm pretty sure if the, let me see. I think there was a spot somewhere in there that showed where our um sorry, I'm trying to find it. Where did it go? Well, we have a petition link. I can totally find that and send it to you also.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm looking at the main website right now on the stream.
Um,
So.
oh, I see. In our like where our meet is connected at, I
Mm,
pinned I pinned the I pinned it to the chat.
okay.
If you have the ability to copy it and paste it, you can totally do that.
Okay. Let me do that. See if we can.
And if it doesn't let you, sorry, I had my pen in my mouth. Just let me know, and I will
Yeah,
recall.
it's not letting me open it, but I'm gonna put my email in the chat. Can you like email it to me?
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Oh, I
yes.
bet I can copy it from our Facebook group because I pinned it there the other day. That's the other thing. That's a really good place to go to keep up and
Mm,
interact with our group
mhm.
is Facebook. We have a Facebook group as well, um, and it's pretty active. Uh, I'm I'm one of the main ones posting on there right now.
Mhm.
So right now we've got Misinformation Monday because there's so much misinformation being spread about our bill right now
Oh,
that
I'm
we want
sure.
to. Yeah, we're trying to clarify everything
Mhm.
and make it so that all that information is centrally located and accessible to everyone. Um, and then we're going to have You're Not Alone Wednesdays. So we're going to just kind of share stories about things that sometimes might make us feel like we're alone or nobody understands what we have to go through. Um, and then Fridays are going to be kind of like a follow up Friday for updates on the bill. And then if we don't have any new updates that are really like informational, then we'll have like a weekly win post on Fridays. So that way everyone can share like a win that they had, no matter big or how like big or small it is. Because like last week, I posted on for my weekly win that I was able to make dinner 3 out of the 5 days this week
Yes.
without like just giving up and like getting a frozen pizza from the grocery store. I actually made dinner, so I was like, yeah, that's a win. Uh, but
It's the little things that count.
yes, and it's very supportive. Like it makes you feel a lot better knowing that you're not alone. Like I can't tell you how many people have understood what I meant when I say that my son likes to paint the walls. They're like, "Oh, honey, I'm so sorry." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. It's horrible." And other people are like, "What's that mean?" I'm like, "He likes to take his diaper off when he's mad at me, and we call it revenge pooping because then he paints everything with his poop." And they're like, ew, oh my God. And I'm like, and he's 15. So you can imagine. It's not a 2-year-old dookie.
Oh.
Oh gosh.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for coming on here tonight and um just really like informing us about this issue and things ways that the public can get involved um and like I said to you before the interview, I'm sure that Snohomish County DSA would love to help. Um, and so perhaps we can help you guys with some organizing tasks to take some of that burden off of you guys. Um, so I will definitely be in touch with you about that. But thank you again so much. This is really important that people hear about these stories. Because honestly, like before talking to you, before getting involved with DDLI Pack, even I didn't know that this was nearly the crisis that it is. And I, you know, I, it's even a bigger crisis for you know, well, I don't want to say it's a bigger crisis, but it's a crisis for parental caregivers of adult children too, that they're getting to the age where they're elderly themselves and struggling to continue
Like
care.
they
So
have
I
a caregiver, like they're getting to the age where they need help, and they're still trying to help their own children. Yeah, it's a hard situation there too.
exactly. And so it's not just an issue for parents of minor disabled children, but you guys absolutely deserve everything you're asking for, and I'm glad that I could interview to you tonight and hopefully maybe provide support if elected. But even if I'm not, I will continue to organize with you guys, and I look forward to hopefully, bringing you guys a better future. Thank you so much for coming on, and we'll definitely have you on again in the future so that we can give people an update. And um,
Hopefully next time after you're elected.
yes, yes.
Also, I did find the actual link that is highlighted blue now for you for the petition.
Oh,
So it is posted into the chat over here for you whenever you
awesome.
want it. It does actually take you directly to it. So then you just put your first name, your last name,
Mm-hmm.
email, and enter. I think it might ask for a zip code too, but I'm not positive.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Okay, we will certainly put this in the chat. Um, because this is super important that we get as many people on this petition as possible. So is this only for people in Washington State, or can anyone sign this petition?
So this petition right here is one that anyone can sign.
Okay.
After election, probably in December or January, probably January, honestly, we will end up having another one that will be only for Washington residents. But
Okay.
the purpose of this petition right now is to show the legislative members that we do have a large following of people supporting us with our friends and families, even across the whole country. Like our our state is one of the very few states that don't have this yet. So we're
Mm-hmm.
trying to make them aware that this is something a whole bunch, over half of the United States is already on board and doing. Like,
Seriously.
yeah, I'm
So
like
other states
27
already have
already.
these kinds of programs.
Yeah, 27 of them have it. And there
What
were
are we
39.
doing?
There are 39, but some of them, uh, 27 of those 39, like have the program actively implemented. The other ones of the 39 are working on like tweaking the program and making it more appropriate for their state. But they are going to reinstate it once they've got it how they want it. Um, so, I mean, that's
Gotcha.
like 39 states out of 50. Like, what are we doing here, Washington?
Oh, I know. Like we're supposed to be the blue state. Okay, chat. I'm putting the link in the chat. Y'all need to sign this petition and show our Washington State legislators what's up, cause this is what's up. Like this is what we need to
Please,
do. Um,
yes. Sign and share.
yes.
Share your story, share the links. even if it's somebody that you know, like talk to them and have them share their stories. It's just that's the only way we're going to get anyone to understand us is to make them aware by sharing
Of
our daily
course.
lives. And it's not always comfortable either. Like I live in low income housing. Uh, it's not a very big apartment, honestly. It's not a great apartment, but I've still invited people, the legislative members, into my house because I'm like, look, my husband was a cop for almost 20 years, and I've been in education settings for almost 15. I said, it's not because we don't have qualifications to have a good job.
Of
Like,
course.
we don't have the ability to maintain those jobs because of my son's requirements. And my son will always come first.
Of
So
course.
if that means I've got to go cut somebody's grass when it's pouring down rain to pay the electric bill, that's what I'm doing right now.
Yes, yes. Completely understandable. Um, well, we will definitely have you back on after the election so that we can you know, help out however we can. Um, thank you again so much for coming on and just being so open and with your story and with your experience, and we will definitely stay in touch for sure.
Yes, and I appreciate your support as well and your time. I know, especially so close to election, that time is a very, very difficult thing.
Oh yeah.
But you're doing great, so good job.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You have a great
Yeah,
rest of your evening. Take care.
you too, dear. We'll chat later.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, chat. Um so it was so great to talk to Jessica. Uh I put the links in the chat. Please consider sharing these links. Let's take a look at this video real quick from this petition page here. Just a short look.
In Washington, 4,700 children with disabilities receive in-home caregiving services instead of institutional care. Anyone can be hired to provide this care except the parents of minors. Families can't find caregivers to hire due to workforce shortages. A parent must leave their job to provide care unpaid. Families struggle financially without employment or access to the services promised them. Parents are the best caregivers for their children and deserve employment eligibility. Since 2020, 39 states have employed parents of minors, but not Washington. Tell your legislators to support the Employing Parent Caregiver Bill. We can't support the child if we fail to support their caregiver.
True. Woo! So, if you are watching this right now, or if you are watching the future video, please make sure that you go to this page right here and sign this petition. You know what? I will sign this, but I'm not putting all of this. Wait, actually, you know what? I can fill this out because most of the info that they asked for is already public for me. So, uh, but yeah. Let's see. Typical childcare settings are often inaccessible to children with disabilities. Um, and, like she said, parents are often forced to leave the workforce so that they can take care of their children. Uh, and, it's, ooh, that is 25 million, you guys. 25 million that gets unused because parents are not being compensated. Parents of minor children are not being compensated for their care. That's just an extraordinarily high number. Um, and of course, it disproportionately impacts women, single parents, people of color, low income households, and families with language access barriers. Employing parents will put 50 million half federally matched funds in wages and benefits directly into the pockets of the families caring for children with disabilities. Why is that so hard for some people that are fighting against this bill to understand? Because ultimately, this will give these parents the money that they need and deserve, and it will ultimately go back into the local economy. So, like, this is absolutely a no-brainer to me. Um and this is helping, families that are part of our most vulnerable population. Um you know, people, adults and children with disabilities. Um like it, we allow care for seniors so that seniors can stay in their homes. We allow parents of children with disabilities who are adult children to take. We allow parents with adult children who have disabilities to take care of and be paid for their care, providing care to their adult children, which, and again, I want to be clear, they are not paid well. They are making $21 an hour. $21 an hour, which is like about a little under $5, just above the minimum wage. So it's not like, they're making a ton of money doing this. Why are we not doing this for parents with minor disabled children? Like, why? Um and it says here, parents of adult children with disabilities are already eligible to be employed for their caregiving labor in Washington. Roughly 15,000 parents are currently employed by Consumer Direct of Washington, or as Jessica referred to it, CDWA. uh Parent caregivers of minors with developmental disabilities are fighting for employment eligibility as paid caregivers. In 2020, 38 states provided this support during the public health emergency. Due to its success, 27 states have now made it a permanent program. What are we doing, Washington? What are we doing? Like, we've got to step up. We've got to step up our game in Washington. These families, these children, they all deserve to be taken care of. That is the job of the government, and at any level. And Washington state government is failing these families. That's it. Straight up. Washington state is failing these families. And we need to change that. We need to change that. So yeah, please sign this petition. Share it with your friends, share it with everybody you know. Please, please, please help this spread. I'm gonna fill mine out right now. Gerald. Oh. Wait, hold up. I think I'm messing up my email. I'm tired, okay? It's been a long day today. But we're gonna make sure we get this right. I'm messing this up. Okay, Annie Fitz or Wallhouse. There we go. Okay. We are in Marysville. Oh, what are you doing? Stop doing that autofill crap. Marysville. 827. Oh. Oh. And then my number 138358. I do not mind showing this on stream because all of this information is publicly available information for me anyways, so that is why we are doing this here. We are gonna opt in for mobile messages. Don't spam me, please. I don't think they will, but and add my name. Woo! All right. So yes. We have signed the petition. I encourage y'all to do the same. Again, this is super important. So please make sure to show your support. Let's go ahead. Oh, I don't want to. Okay, you know what? We're gonna share. We're gonna tweet this later. But all right, guys. So that is it for right now. It is almost 9:00 and I'm tired. So I know I kind of sort of half promised that we would play Cult of the Lamb, but it has been a super long day, so how about I will do that on our next stream. Promise. Pinky swear. Pinky swear. I pinky swear you. See? I'm pinky swearing you. Pinky swear. Pinky swear. On our next stream, we will absolutely play Cult of the Lamb. And have some fun because you know what? It is almost Halloween, and I love Halloween, so we gotta get into the spirit. Yeah, thank you so much again for watching this stream, for watching this video. I will, when I post this on YouTube, I will make sure to put the links for the petition as well as PEPWA in the description. So if you're watching this on YouTube, hi YouTube, what's up? Please make sure that you do those lovely little YouTube things where you like the video and subscribe and do all that wonderful stuff that helps the YouTube algorithm go brrr. Go brrr. Anyways, so please, if you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure to do those things, and I will put these links in the description of the video. Thank you so much again for coming out tonight, and I will see you all next time. Take care. Good night.